Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm Willow Trees 21, or you can just call me Aspen. I'm with my co-host Fred. Say hello, Fred. And we are here to introduce to you How to Not Be Groomed, a guide specifically for minors. So, starting off with online, you want to know who you're messaging. It's best to know their age to make sure that an adult isn't texting you inappropriately. And if you're unable to verify, it is best to contact them in a public setting. So if you're on Discord, let it be through a public server. Excuse me. Or if it's online, let it be in a public platform and not through DMs. And you have to understand that anything you post is forever. And with that being said, to further protect you online, it is best if you avoid questionable or even terrible online figures. So, you should also know how to screenshot. So, what are some reasons why you need to screenshot? So, if an adult tries unwanted sexual advances on you through text messages, this can be a form of saying, I would want some no-no pictures, or even inappropriate jokes can be bad. It's also best to screenshot if they try sending adult content to you as well. And to cover up your behind, if they try to blame mental health on you out of nowhere, it is best to screenshot that, and we'll discuss that later on. And it's right here, this face. It is best that you understand not every smile is a genuine smile. So, with that being said, you should report any suspicious activity to the authorities. This can be adult content of minors, obvious scams, doxing attempts, or even successful doxing. Just remember that through screenshots, you'll be able to collect evidence and be able to have enough information to open up a possible case. So, why is adult content of minors bad? Let's start off with, it's illegal. Children cannot consent. You children, minors, cannot consent to any adult content until you are the age of 18, nor should you be sent it because they couldn't consent either. Why? It allows for manipulation and can cause permanent damage, mentally, physically, or emotionally, to any minor involved. And let me emphasize once more, it's illegal. So what about scams? Why are scams bad? They take advantage of people. They open up for personal information being stolen as well. This tends to be credit cards or debit cards, and a lot of times they drain the bank accounts. And with that, it can allow to some blackmail to happen. There was a common scam back in the day where the scammer would take hold of the computer and they would hold pictures hostage from the people themselves. And that, in sort of way, isn't blackmail, but some people would consider it with how broad the term can be. And let me emphasize this right here. It's illegal. So if you're able to report any scams that you see, you will be able to help a lot of people. So what about doxing? Why is doxing bad of all things? Because everyone has a right to privacy offline and online. And it can lead to someone being attacked in person, especially if it's their address that gets leaked. And it can lead to more crimes such as identity theft. So say if someone's social security number was leaked, all of a sudden they have cards and debt they never had before. And this is also illegal. So, how do you know about doxing attempts and scams? How can that lead to grooming? And that, in a way, is a sad truth of blackmail. So, what is blackmail? According to the Oxford Dictionary, it's the action treated as a criminal offense of demanding payment or another benefit from someone in return for not receiving, revealing, compromising, or damaging information about them. It doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be adult actions. It can even just be under the disguise of friendship in order to try to control you. So why does blackmail work? It creates fear. And depending on what they target, it can make you feel powerless. This is also commonly followed or highlighted by other manipulation tactics such as gaslighting, love bombing, victim blaming, projection, guilt tripping, ghosting, and passive aggressive behavior. So, what does the many terms mean? Gaslighting is when they try to convince the victim that their memory is faulty or some events just didn't happen. Love bombing is showing a lot of affection to only take that away to mistreat the victim. Victim blaming is blaming the victim for anything they did wrong in order to make the victim feel responsible. Guilt tripping is when they use a victim's guilt against them in order to get the victim to do what they want. Passive-aggressive behavior can be hostile interactions that are disguised under a neutral or accidental demeanor. Ghosting, someone withholds communication from someone to try and manipulate them. This is mostly focused on people who need someone to talk to. And projection is attributing the negative traits they have to someone else. So, right here in this website from Correlation for Children, under the article called Understanding Grooming, they suggested these steps go into grooming. 1 is identifying and targeting the victim. 2 is gaining trust and access. 3 is playing a role in the victim's life. 4 is isolation. 5 is creating secrecy of the relationship. 6 is initiating sexual contact. And 7 is trying to control the relationship. So why does all of this matter to grooming? Many people who are getting groomed tend to have manipulation tactics used against them. Why? It keeps you under their control and it makes it seem like you can't escape. This can have a detrimental effect on your mental state as you feel trapped, like this rat at the bottom. Now, here's one more thing that to note about grooming is that sometimes you don't realize you're being groomed. You just think it's a regular relationship as well. So, if you're being groomed, how can you escape grooming itself? Remember those screenshots I mentioned? Well, again, you can interact any of those interactions. You can report it to the police, especially if there's anything sexual or anything that's trying to force you to do things you don't like to do, such as various crimes. So, here's a few steps that are suggested below. Is you can look into restraining orders if they know your address. Let your mutual friends know. I have seen many cases, and I have unfortunately had this happen to me, where the person who has groomed will use mutual friends against you in order to regain control. You can block all communication with them. Ignore all attempts of them to contact you, no matter what they say. And I know it can be difficult, but you can do this. Just remember that there are always people out there to help you. If you are in a physically abusive relationship, please consult local services for resources that best work for you. If you're worried about being harmed by any person who has groomed you or is trying to groom you, please let your local police know. So, as for resources you can look up, now this depends on the country, location, and so much more. But if you are in need of something, what you can do is look on the search engines, look up domestic violence hotlines. If your partner's gotten physically abusive, if you're feeling down, you can look up suicide hotlines. If you would like more information, you can look up grooming resources. You can also look into therapy, consult a lawyer, and file a police report. So with that being said, I want you all to stay safe out there and make sure to remain vigilant. As for this slideshow, I'd like to give special thanks for at Teapots and Bears for helping me make all these slides, and at Third Eye Gaming 4780 for supporting me, and I'd like to thank many more. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.